Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/slash Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, us techies have to stick together, right? Every file I click on is instantly deleted. Why don't customers tell you what happened until after? User does not want help. 6 months for the easiest fix. Rogue Wi-Fi. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Us techies have to stick together, right? I am a sysadmin at a small hospital in the middle of nowhere, USA. When our help desk person left last year, I was handed the responsibility of dealing with the 70+ leased printers placed throughout the hospital and outside clinics. The job is mainly making sure the supply cupboard stays full. Tier 1 troubleshooting. Some of my users have a hard time figuring out which end of the toner cartridge goes in where, calling in repair needs, and escorting their repair techs around the hospital. 3 or 4 months ago, the vendor's printer repair tech who usually handled our account got into a horrible car accident while on duty. He's been laid up ever since, having multiple surgeries and lots of physical therapy. Whenever I asked about him, his co-workers sung praises about him, amazed at his drive to return to work and all the work he was doing to recover as quickly as he could. Last week was his first week back at work, and today was his first time back at our hospital to service machines. When he arrived at our hospital, assistant in tow, he was limping, and you could tell he wasn't feeling great after the 3 hours drive to us. I did say we're in the middle of nowhere, right? He jokingly asked for a wheelchair, and the nurses at the COVID screening area immediately dumped him into one and ferried him back to the IT office. When I stepped out of the IT office to greet him, he was like, "I can walk. I really can. It's just really slow and hurts by the end of the day." I told him, "I know exactly how you feel. Stay in the wheelchair. I'll push you around. I'm 14 years post-broken leg, and it still gives me a hassle some days." We were quite a sight this afternoon. One of the hospital's sysadmins pushing a heavyset printer repair guy in one of the hospital's wheelchairs, his lap filled with boxes, and his assistant running to catch up with us, his hands full of tools and boxes and pulling his supply cart, all the while us talking non-stop about the issues with the printers. Because I was willing to do this, he stuck it out, working for 2.5 hours to get multiple printers fixed or diagnosed and parts ordered. When we were done, he thanked me for giving him a ride around the hospital. It was my pleasure, I told him. Us techies have to stick together, right? Every file I click on is instantly deleted. Why don't customers tell you what happened until after? This is my first post here. I am an independent repair shop and IT consultant, with previous experience in networking, SMT rework and fabrication, and a background in computer science. I contract out to many small businesses, but I do not work at a company. A customer called me explaining that every time he clicked on a file, it was instantly deleted. I asked him to clarify, and he meant, he clicked on a Word document, photo, etc., and it goes straight to the recycle bin. Me, is your delete key stuck? Customer, no, it works fine. Me, alright, bring it on in. I immediately reboot into the ThinkPad diagnostics and hit keyboard. Lo and behold, the delete key it was. It would work fine when pressed and when idle, but flicking, tapping, or stomping on the ground near would press the delete key. What the hell? Me, so, the delete key is stuck, and it's not the key. I think it's the dome or the keyboard underneath the keys. Him, oh yeah, I spilled coffee on it this morning. Facepalm. Like, if I ask about your delete key, and you spilled a splash of coffee right on it this morning, don't you think it's appropriate for you to tell me that detail? I ended up removing the key and mechanism, ripping off the dome, cleaning it with alcohol, and then ripping the dome off of a junked laptop that was only slightly less firm, and then reassembled it. User does not want help. A user's keyboard stopped functioning, so he got the green light to pick something reasonably priced online. While waiting for the keyboard to be delivered, I told him to stop by for a temporary replacement. He turns in an old keyboard that showed years of use. The keys with almost no visible letters, somewhat dirty, and the F1 key missing. At the time I paid no attention to it. Now when the new keyboard arrived a week later, my coworker was the one that performed the switch. A week goes by and me and the coworker talk about the state of some of the machines, and how some users pay no respect to the equipment they use. He mentions the user previously discussed, how he had a keyboard for a week and already there was a key missing. Again, it was the F1 key. I thought to myself for a second, how strange, but continued with my day. Now a couple of days go by and I pass the open office where the user was sitting, and I noticed his brand new keyboard is missing the F1 key. Now I think to myself, is this some office prank done to him by his coworkers, or is it the user being malicious towards the equipment? Something is clearly afoot. I go to the user and ask him about it, and he reaches for the drawer and says, "Oh, I forgot, these are for you," and he hands me 3 F1 keys. Now I am genuinely confused. He tells me he just hates it when he accidentally clicks the F1 key, and the help window opens. He just removes the key to avoid it. I just chuckled and said, "I guess you just don't need help." 6 months for the easiest fix. So, I work as a level 1 tech for an MSP, and just had the simplest call that I figured I would share. A user called in, stating her email wasn't updating when she logged into it. Simple fix, I remoted in and Outlook did not have her most recent password. I assume she had just changed it, so I walk her through the steps to update her password in Outlook, and immediately emails begin to come through. A lot of emails begin to come through. It finally ends with about 1,500 new messages in her inbox. It turns out this user hasn't updated her email in about 6 months, and all those emails that were loaded were the things she had been sent since December of last year. Unsurprisingly, there were a couple in there about running out of inbox space. We then spent quite a bit of time sorting through the backlog of mail, and getting rid of the stuff that wasn't needed anymore, before I was able to log off and let her know that anytime her password is updated. I don't know how you can manage to not realize there's a problem with something for 6 months straight when most people are looking at their email daily. Rogue Wi-Fi. So a few years back, before Wi-Fi was really a major part of every business, the company I worked for decided to put in 2 WAP devices. Everyone in the office got really excited until it became apparent that this was for managers and IT use only. This caused a bit of an uproar in the office as the users couldn't understand why they couldn't use the Wi-Fi for their personal devices. Almost about a week goes past, and I arrive at work to a frantic phone call from one of the managers saying that half his team can't access the data server or print anything. Head down to their side of the office and see that the network connection shows as connected but not to our network. IP protocol configuration shows that they are receiving IPs, but not from our network. Immediately I start looking around and find exactly what I thought it was. One of the staff had decided to buy a cheap router and connect it to one of the open ports along the wall in order to get Wi-Fi, but had never turned off the DHCP settings. Removed the device, he tried stopping me by saying that it's his and I can't touch it, and reported him, and then had to give a mini seminar on network and user security to the rest of the company. Needless to say, he didn't stay with the company for long.